Hey guys, want to make your home cozier and save a little more money? Take a free online energy assessment from Energy Trust of Oregon. It's fast, easy, and gives you personalized tips to boost your home energy savings, lower bills, and more comfort. Shoot, I'm taking this quiz. Let's take it together at visitenergytrust.org/assessment. We can join thousands of Oregonians already making smarter energy moves. That's energytrust.org/assessment.
You can make a difference in someone's life, including your own, with a job in home care. These jobs offer flexible schedules, healthcare, retirement options, and free training. They also provide paid time off and opportunities for overtime. Visit OregonHomeCareJobs.com to learn more and apply. That's OregonHomeCareJobs.com.
Fall marks the beginning of what feels like Portland's hibernation season, but there's still plenty happening in town, especially in our art scene. So today on CityCast Portland, Suzette Smith, Portland Mercury's arts and culture editor, is here to walk us through their fall arts guide, which just came out. And they've covered everything from the Portland Art Museum's shiny new pavilion to pro wrestling-inspired improv comedy to Zinesters at the mall. You're not going to want to miss this one. It's Thursday, September 25th. I'm Claudia Meza, and this is what Portland's talking about. Before we jump in with Suzette, I just want to remind people that it is day 2 of our fall membership campaign. And so I'm inviting you again to support this show by joining CityCast Portland neighbors at membership.citycast.fm. If you do it, you get ad-free listening, member-only events and giveaways, early access to our event listings for the week. We actually do get requests for that. You get it if you join our membership, and you also get the ability to shout out your favorite places in town on the newsletter and pod, which is pretty cool. But this time around, we're also giving away a CityCast Portland tote bag that says, "Neighbors Make Portland." And I hear it's really cool. I'm supposed to be getting one too. It's in the mail. But I don't know. I think we're official now that we have a tote bag. Suzette, do you want a tote bag?
I have so many tote bags and I want another one.
Suzette's like, I cannot wait for my 100th tote bag.
Yeah.
But also a big part of our job is having honest conversations about our city, attempting to hold those in power accountable, and occasionally having to be like your bad news bears, sharing the not so great things happening in our city. But if you've been hanging out with us long enough, you know we're equally committed to celebrating what's truly great about living here, from our amazing access to nature, to our celebrated food industry, to our expansive arts scene, as Suzette is going to give us a preview in just a sec. Our membership program is designed to help you engage more deeply with life here in our city. So if you'd like a fun and easy way to discover hidden gems, keep up with our city's wins and issues, and also support local businesses, all it takes is $10 a month or $100 a year, and it helps us keep bringing you this daily conversation that hopefully makes us all better neighbors. So you can join at membership.citycast.fm. Get that free tote bag that says Neighbors Make Portland. That's membership.citycast.fm. All right, Suzette, thank you for waiting so patiently.
Yeah, thanks for wanting to talk about our fall arts guide. It's so big. It's got like 20 stories in it. It's completely wild.
I remember last time that you were here, you said the reason why there's like such an expansive fall arts guide is because it's when like all the new shows come out in theater. And I didn't ever like make that connection. And I have a lot of people actually who have said this out loud. I don't know if they're lying, but they said it out loud. They're like, I would like to go out to the theater more often.
Yeah.
I feel like, well, here's your chance, because there's so much happening this season. But aside from theater, there's also just a lot of really cool art openings, visual art stuff happening. And I want to talk about the biggest art event happening this season, which is the Rothko Pavilion opening at the Portland Art Museum. I feel like this has been under construction since I moved here a billion years ago.
Technically, it's only been shut down for 4 years since the fall of 2021, but that's still a heck of a long time to have the art museum under construction. And granted, the art museum has still been open, but now you're going to see an expansion of there's a new media gallery, there's a Black art and experiences gallery. Those things are opening in addition to the Rothko Pavilion. But the Rothko Pavilion is just a huge structure that will connect the old museum to the Mark building, which, like probably for you and I has always been part of the art museum. You just had to go underneath and then like up a bunch of stairs
I
in order
remember
to
that.
get to it.
Yeah. Like once you go underneath is like where their theater is. That's so funny because every time I did that, I had no idea that I was getting connected to the other part. I'm just so bad at directions. I feel like I've heard about this idea for connecting these two buildings forever, and it's like kind of awesome that it's going to be named after Mark Rothko because like a lot of people don't know this, but like he grew up here in Portland. He went to Lincoln High. He took art classes at the museum. And his first solo exhibition was actually, I think, at PAM in 1933, which is crazy. He also invented the classic, I can do that.
I thought that was like a Jackson Pollock thing or something.
I feel like Mark Rothko was definitely one of the inventors of like dads going to an art museum with you and being like, I can paint that.
As scientists, we need to get some dads and we need to go to the art museum and we need to ask, because, like when you look at a Pollock, you're like, yeah, that's a bunch of splatters. Although like you and I, artsy, knowledgeable people know. But when you look at a Rothko, like the field of color that is like vibrating off of it, I don't know. It just feels like a different ballgame to me.
I hear you. I'm just saying.
Yeah. What I love about the piece in the Fall Arts Guide is that the writer, Joe Strecker, points out that like Rothko himself like did not even stick around. He did have his like first exhibition at the PAM and then he was just like, bye, just like immediately gone to New York, which, made him famous and allowed us to celebrate his legacy. But another interesting thing about the Rothko Pavilion is that no Rothkos will actually be in the pavilion because the colors are so intense. You can't have light by them. You can't have them in light, otherwise they'll fade. So it's just going to be mostly sculptures, which I think is interesting about the impending opening, which won't be till November, but there's going to be like a week-long celebration at the PAM, which seems pretty fun.
That is cool. Well, anyhow, I'm really stoked about the Portland Art Museum finally like reuniting itself, and I'm really excited about this pavilion. But let's get into more picks from your Fall Arts Guide. This next pick actually incorporates our food scene. Food critic Andrea Damewood put together some of the most beautiful dishes being served in Portland right now. Food as art. I mean, yeah, of course, bring it on. Like, who came up with this idea? Because I kind of love that, like, a food writer was like, hey, can I get in here? It's like whenever there's an empty drum set in anyone's punk house and someone's like, oh, can I get on the set? Can I get on the set?
Andrea's like such a wonderful writer to work with that a lot of times we just brainstorm stuff that she could contribute. This seemed like such a no-brainer when we came up with it in conversation because in the Fall Arts Guide, you're paying attention to like lauded arts institutions like the Portland Art Museum that maybe we don't talk about all the time. And then you're also paying attention to like what could get people who are maybe like artsy casual interested. So like the food you could put in your mouth piece was like, why haven't we done this before? Because she's talking about stuff that you can always get, like this smoky drink at Janken, which is served under like one of those cloches where like the smoke comes out. And that like feels very like the presentation of plating, Mm-hmm. And then like there's also like this heirloom tomato pizza the Double Mountain Brewery puts out seasonally, which is something of an event. Like when I went and looked to double check the information, people were like heirloom tomato pizza like all over social media. And then like there's another aspect of this piece that is like it's such a fun piece for beautifully plated dishes. But then Andrea totally snuck in this restaurant opening in St. John's of Bar Nouveau based on like some pop-ups that she had been to. Mm-hmm. And so in a way, like readers are kind of finding out about like this chef who is opening her first solo venture in St. John's. So electric only kitchen? Yeah, it seems pretty cool.
An electric only kitchen? Wait, so that's like part of the appeal is that there's no gas?
Yeah, maybe. For people who are concerned about that, probably it's just more like the limitations of the restaurant that the chef could like launch their restaurant at. But it seems like, like for people who keep their finger on the food pulse, that's going to be a good tip.
Yeah, I've went to one of their pop-ups and the food itself is delicious, but it also is actually very, very beautiful. And they have some really good cocktails. So anyhow, of the 9 picks that Andrea, but she like chose 9 dishes that she was like, these are the most beautiful ones. Which one did you find the most appealing? I'm just curious, like what your pick was.
I think the piece that made me say like, oh, we should do stuff like this was like the little cheesecakes at Soro Soro that look like bears and kitties. Like I was like little pieces of art, but then she kind of really took it in places. Like she tried to, there's some stuff from like some pretty high end places, but then she's also like talking about mole mole in there because she thinks, you know, the tres moles enchiladas is like so beautiful. And she's right.
Yeah. 100%. I also love that she pointed out some cocktails because I like think cocktails are so beautiful, you know?
I mean, she's got a coffee drink on there.
Oh yeah, that's gorgeous. The coconut cold brew with ube whip at Kalisa Coffee. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, should this be a regular column? And she was like, I'm already pretty busy.
She's like, listen, don't, okay? Just it's a one-time thing.
Because to me, I would love to read about like chefs plating and how they go through it and how they think about it. It's so fascinating.
It's art. It's art. It's definitely art. Well, let's take a quick break here. And when we come back, we're going to talk about some improv comedy and pro wrestling all in one. Paint Care has 3 simple rules to help you paint smarter. 1, buy only what you need. Determining the right amount of paint for your next project can be tricky, but tips like measuring your space and asking your local paint store for advice will help ensure you have enough for your project while minimizing waste. 2, use up what you have. Look around your house and find simple DIY projects where you can use up your paint. Or you could give away your leftover paint to friends, neighbors, or community groups who could benefit from it. 3, recycle the rest at convenient locations like your neighborhood paint store. Paint Care even offers direct pickups for households and businesses with more than 100 gallons of leftover paint. Learn more or find a paint drop-off site near you at paintcare.org/3simplerules. If you've been thinking about replacing your old and drafty windows, Window Nation is having a flash sale right now that's running through September 30th, where they're taking 60% off all windows. And you can choose from over 1,500 styles and colors, and Window Nation uses windows made right here in Portland by Milgard that come with a lifetime warranty. Window Nation also has an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau and over 45,000 5-star reviews. There's a reason Forbes recently ranked them highest on their list of best window installation companies. You can trust Window Nation for high-quality, affordable windows. And right now, you can also put 0 down, make 0 payments, and pay 0 interest for 2 years. That's right, you could pay nothing until 2027. Schedule a fast, free estimate now with Window Nation at windownation.com. That's windownation.com. License number OR 249065.
Learning a new language opens the door to new friends, new cultures, maybe even a whole new life. So why not start that journey today? I'm CityCast CEO David Plotz, and I'm learning Spanish with Babbel. Babbel's conversation-based technique quickly teaches you useful words and phrases about the things you actually talk about in the real world. I've been practicing my Spanish with Babbel's AI conversation partner. I can choose my conversation topic and have a real-time dialogue. It's great at helping me think on my feet, and it's improving my pronunciation. Also, it's really easy to do anytime on my phone using Babbel's excellent mobile app. It's just one of the many fantastic Babbel tools for learning. Plus, Babbel has a real-time feedback, progress trackers, and handy visualizations, all of which make it really easy to stay motivated to learn. I want you to learn another language. So CityCast is teaming up with Babbel to gift you 55% off subscriptions, but only for our listeners at babbel.com/citycast. Get up to 55% off at babbel.com/citycast. Spelled BABBEL.com/citycast. Babbel.com/citycast. Rules and restrictions may apply.
We're back, but before Suzette gives us some more great fall arts guide picks, Julia, our senior producer, she's got something to say, and it's going to be in haiku form. That's what I've heard. Is it
I'm
true?
not that good. I hate to break it to you. I'm not that good.
Okay, never mind.
So in sadly not haiku form, I do just want to quickly jump in here to talk about something in Portland that's really bringing me joy right now. So some of you may already know, but I moved from Southeast to North Portland this month. And something I've been really enjoying recently is getting to know my new neighborhood. And it's making me think a lot about how neighborhoods in Portland are so community oriented. There's a lot of neighborhood pride and how much fun it is to learn about each of their individual quirks. Like just this past weekend, I stumbled upon a whole ass Oktoberfest going on in my neighborhood that I knew absolutely nothing about until I walked right past it, and I ended up going. But all this makes me think about how the type of coverage we do right here on our show really highlights these things. Like almost every month, we put out these awesome neighborhood guides, giving you the ins and outs of a Portland neighborhood from the residents who live there. And recently, these have become some of my favorite episodes because they show that we really do something different than other national and local outlets. We're able to focus on some of the really great things that are happening right next door. So if you do feel similarly about this as I do and want to help us continue to do the work that we do, please consider joining our membership program. Support from CityCast Portland Neighbors allows us not only to inform our community on important local issues, but to take delight in what's great about living here as well, which we love so much. So please take a moment to support this show and let us shower you with all the perks. If you want to join right now for $10 a month, that's an option. Or for $100 a year, you can support us as well at membership.citycast.fm. That's membership.citycast.fm. But anyway, back to the Fall Arts Guide.
Awesome. Thank you, Julia. I appreciate it. Still the worst haiku ever. So this next pick in the arts guide, Suzette, this was crazy. This one to me, I was just like, how is this happening? It's mixing improv comedy and pro wrestling, and it's called, so stupid, Punchlines and Pile Drivers. Tell us about it because it sounds amazing.
Yeah, I think that I had heard about this word of mouth. It is a improv comedy show. There's no actual wrestling. I asked Courtney Vaughn, the news editor of the Mercury, to take on this story. I was like, hey, I heard about this. This seems really fun. You're the wrestling person that I know that is on our staff, because Courtney Vaughn is actually kind of into wrestling.
Well, I'm sorry, Courtney Vaughn, who's in charge of pretty much like all of the like city hall reporting. But I'm just, when I think of Courtney Vaughn, the image I have in my head is not From the Top Rope, Courtney Vaughn. But
yeah, she's into roller derby, pretty well known. But then another thing I know about her is that she's always been really into professional wrestling, just to, like as a fun thing to watch. I mean, I have an appreciation for the prestige of like pro wrestling. It was funny to me though. I assumed these were comedians, so they wouldn't actually be wrestling. And then Courtney Vaughn did, as she was looking into this, come back to me and say, just so you know, there's no actual wrestling. And she was like a little incensed about it, which I thought was hilarious.
then what the hell then? Why is it called Punchlines and Pile Drivers? I mean, I feel like that's some bait and switch shit right there.
Well, I mean, it is still like the prestige, the arguing, the disses are really the fighting that we've figured out. Punchlines and Pile Drivers also doesn't happen very often. So this next show isn't until October 24th. It happens kind of like every 6 months or so. So I wanted to give readers a chance to like check it out. And I also like wanted to warn the partners of the world that are going as the plus one or going along that there wouldn't be actual wrestling. So it's sort of like comedians making up personas, like Mac Lee, who has a persona Bad Baby, which is like a mafia-inspired toddler that is like walking around sipping like a baby bottle full of champagne. It just sounds kind of incredible.
So wait, so their improv personalities are basically wrestlers?
They make up
gotcha.
the personas. So you've got the person who's the current champion, and it's like funny to be like world champion just because this is where it happens. But it's like Amir Cat, who has like his persona is based on Mr. Rogers, except it's like a morally ambiguous character named Mr. Roberts. And you're sort of like, well, this is just ridiculous. Sweaters are coming off.
That's amazing.
It seems like a lot of fun. They have a pretty nice belt, which like is integral, I think.
Oh, I see. Well, let's talk about your last pick in the guide. It talks about an ongoing Portland zine meetup group that gathers at the Lloyd Center Mall twice a week. Is this the same group that also meets at Rose City Book Pub? Because I feel like there's also a Portland zine meetup there.
Yeah, actually, the one that started at the Lloyd Center got really popular. And it's not that there's less people at it now, but it's just that people wanted twice a week, I guess. So now they have it at Rose City Book Pub as well.
That's so cool. Tell me more about it because I know it's going to culminate into like a symposium in November.
Yeah, so it's these two people, Roman Ruddock and Charlie Manzano. This is a story that Shay Merck reported. They started holding these meetups. It's so funny to read in the piece that they started a zine symposium down in Southern Oregon, down in Ashland, before they moved to Portland. And they kind of joke in the piece that they moved to Portland because the Multnomah County Library gives you 100 free copies a day, which I had no idea. You're always learning things in the guide.
Oh, shoot. I had no idea. Wait, hold up. I can go to the library now and get 100 free copies of something random. Why have I been paying?
Well, it's like, yeah, black and white photocopies. Maybe people want the color copies, but that does seem like a cool service that I didn't even know we offered.
That is really cool.
So they meet up in the food court. They have this meetup where everyone just basically gets together and works on zines. I was surprised at how wholesome this piece was and how charming, because people are sort of talking about all the different things that they make zines about. The way that Manzano and Ruddock met is that Manzano started a Tumblr about being a trans cancer patient, and Ruddock became his only follower because they were in the same situation. So they're now both in remission, but it was like through zines they were able to be really vulnerable and meet other people who also wanted to be vulnerable in the same way about specific experiences they were having. And I kind of, as a person who's made zines in my life, I had almost like forgotten that that's what's so great about zines.
Yeah.
Is that you can find zines about just like things that would never get a book deal.
Or like an article in a magazine. It's very niche experiences for sure.
So the group also, in addition to making this, like their own zines, they often contribute to collaborations. And one thing that they collaborated on, like the group of the Zine Meetup, collaborated on Something Good Happened Here, which is personal memories from 40 contributors about good things that happened to them in specific places in Portland. I've seen it. It's really charming, which is sort of counter to the national narrative of Portland as a crime-ridden dumpster fire. They debuted that for the Read Zine Fest, and they'll have another one for the Portland Zine Symposium.
That is so cool. Yeah, zines I feel like were a lifeline for me as, a queer teenager in LA. It's how I discovered all my favorite music and stuff. So like there is part of me that I'm always going to be a zine's #1 fan. Also, I'm sorry, but like being someone's only Tumblr follower is like the sweetest thing. My heart broke a little, but also I was just like, oh, that is the sweetest thing.
Yeah, I sort of live in terror that one day my perzines will be unearthed because like I definitely, like the first time I ever came to Portland was for the 2002 Portland Zine Symposium.
Mm-hmm.
Like me and my friends drove through the night from Detroit. I used to remember how long of a trip that is. I want to say it's like 50 hours.
Oh my God. Yeah, because you used to do a lot of like comic book strips. Like I remember you used to do a lot of drawings, right?
I'm like a generalist. I like to try different things. And then for a while I had comics making friends and I made comics. For a while I had zine making friends and I made zines.
Well, before we wrap up, I wanted to give you the opportunity to just kind of do a lightning round, just to shout out a few more things that are coming up this season that we didn't discuss, that you're just like, I really want people to know about this.
There's things in this guide that are good basically through November. If you want to see a number of theater shows, we've got that all in our calendar so that people can sort of look in really quickly and see, what they might be interested in. One thing that looked really great to me was Dancing on the Sabbath, which is the season opener show at Shaking the Tree, which is a small theater in Southeast Portland that always does really interesting work. They're working with ProLab, which is like a dance company in town. Ooh. They're working with ProLab's Laura Cannon to choreograph 12 ritual dances that the piece will sort of surround. And it sort of speaks to, I think the words they used were like silent resistance and rebellion, which feels like very the vibe right now. But whenever Samantha Vandermeer is adapting a fairy tale sort of story, she usually goes a lot further. It's never cheesy. It's always pretty great. So I recommend that one. Nolan Parker, who is our music editor, who I think you've talked to pretty recently.
We love Nolan, yeah.
They were saying Lambrini Girls, like back when Lambrini played at Revolution Hall earlier in the year. It led to like a human pyramid. That was like how amped the audience was. And I was like, well, you definitely need to put that in the calendar because they're coming through again. And that is sold out now, but StubHub, if it's really worth it to you. But yeah, there's a lot of other really cool things in the calendar that people should check out.
For sure. And I want to say that for people that are like, Lambrini girls, that's a band from England. And if you are at all like my age and like the same stuff, they have Huggy Bear vibes in the best way possible. You know what I'm talking about, Huggy Bear? Right, girl?
I wasn't super into Huggy Bear, but I should be.
Okay. Yeah, maybe you should be.
I should be into so many things.
Well, Suzette, I really appreciate you hanging out with me, going through this guide. Before we head out, though, I want to just again remind people that you can become a member and support us heading over to membership.citycast.fm. Again, you'll get a free tote bag. Like Suzette, it could be your 100th tote bag, which I don't know. That's pretty special, I think.
I got so many tote bags and I want another one.
I just feel like that should be the like tote bag line. I got so many tote bags and I want another one.
They don't last forever, Claudia.
That's what it is. They really don't.
Some people are hard on tote bags, like me. I'm pretty hard on them.
So please head over to membership.citycast.fm if you want to support us. And again, Suzette, thank you so much for hanging out with me.
Thanks for having me.
And a big thank you to our new CityCast Portland neighbors, Sandra C., Moira K., Matt L., Irene GB, and Kalpana R.I. Kalpana actually wrote in as a reason for joining. Listening to all your curated activities and places to check out inspires us to explore our beautiful city with fresh perspective. Also, love the lowdown on City Hall activities. Thank you, Kalpana, so much for joining. And if you too want to show your support by becoming a member and get yourself that tote bag, head over to membership.citycast.fm. That's membership.citycast.fm. That's all for today here on CityCast Portland. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed the show, share it with a friend or rate and leave us a good review. It really helps us out. And don't forget, you can support this show and get some great perks by becoming a CityCast neighbor. Just visit membership.citycast.fm for all the details. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more from around the city. Until then, see you at Slims.
Hey there, I'm Scott, and I'm a CityCast Portland neighbor. I've lived in Portland for 25 years. I'm grateful that Portland has connected me with a community of comics fans and creators, and that I can ride my bike anywhere. I especially love our beautiful parks. I've discovered there's so much about Portland that deserves the spotlight. CityCast Portland helps shine that spotlight and pays attention to the whole city. Plus, I love that it's accessible. Every morning, I read the newsletter and listen to the podcast while I walk my dog. It's the perfect length, and it helps me understand what's happening in our communities, from neighborhood issues to mayoral interviews that have helped shape how I vote. CityCast Portland feels like sitting in on a smart, good faith conversation with hosts who care about the issues Portlanders are talking about. Some days it's silly and fun, other days it goes deep, but it's always relevant. That's why I became a member. Because local media matters, and I believe we have a social responsibility to help it thrive in Portland. Come be a part of the conversation and join me as a CityCast Portland neighbor at membership.citycast.fm.